saying that the issue isn't with the death penalty, it's with the way that the prison system is run and the way the conviction systems are run. It's not necessarily the death penalty, it's what...
Who decides to get the death penalty?
No. It's the punishments for the specific crimes.
I guess.
So right now you're not criticizing the issue of the death penalty, you're criticizing the institution.
Right? That's what I'm...
That's exactly what these articles talk
Yeah.
about.
Especially
I don't think someone that robbed a bank, just robbed a bank, no one was harmed, should get the death penalty. But I think if you cause harm to other people, serious harm.
So like okay, like an eye for an eye. If you take someone's life,
Yeah.
your life should be taken.
But on what conditions? Like, do you have to be like on camera, or does the evidence have to be implied?
I don't think, I mean, if that, see, evidence, I think if evidence is pretty, like, hardcore and legit, that you...
Beyond a reasonable doubt.
Yeah, then...
Okay, but taking into account
Aren't
The
all
death
convictions made on beyond a reasonable doubt?
they have to be. They have to
Exactly.
be.
Yeah.
But the thing is, like, if you take into account, like, in the article, the death penalty legend, he says that, what is he, the prosecution strives to create a credible legend, which may be unrelated to the truth. The defense tries to raise doubts about this legend, which may, but does not necessarily involve creating a counter legend. If this jury buys the prosecution's legend, this is called finding of guilt beyond a reasonable doubt. If you're each trying to make your own story come across, that's just what it is. It's a story.
No, okay, see, I get that. I understand that when you go to trial, you leave out certain facts to make your story sound legitimate, and it happens with both
You
sides.
never get the whole truth.
And I understand that, but I don't know, I just can't get past...
But you're lacking truth and you're sentencing a man to death.
You're going with the notion...
But okay, don't you think, just hear me out, don't you think if you have one side of the story trying to say, oh, he committed murder, and the other guy saying, oh, he didn't commit murder, by both those stories overall, do you think you'd end up getting the whole picture because they're both trying to counterpoint certain things?
Not at all.
You
Not at all.
can't. I don't think that in the
I know.
judicial system you can.
But doesn't
because-
that kind of, it makes sense, like, to me in my head, you would think that you'd be able to get both sides of the story.
But because you can't get the whole and complete truth, you can't know everything that went
Because
on. I don't think
basically-
it's fair to
Okay,
sentence
The judicial
anybody.
system is just filled with people trying to manipulate each other and convince each other that no, it's this way or no, it's
But
this
do you
way.
think, okay, but do you think it's okay to send someone to life in prison? They're pretty much essentially dying in prison.
Yeah.
They're, prison's hell. Like, I saw Locked Up Raw. I watched it constantly.
You don't know by experience, but
Yeah, I don't know by experience, but I've seen it every single Friday, Saturday night.
okay.
But, no, but like, isn't that pretty much sentencing them to death? Spending life locked up in a cell 23 hours a day, 1 hour outside
Okay,
of that?
but by giving this person death, you're actually giving them, they don't have to deal with the issues anymore. You know what I mean? Like, if they're in prison, they have to deal with all of
Yeah,
that.
but they're taking up so much of our money and so much of
See,
our
I
time.
understand where you come from with
Like-
that. Yeah.
No, I actually agree with Kat
On
because
the
because I
resources,
like, say,
yeah.
say for example, if a person commits murder and there's no doubt that this guy
That this
this
person-
guy
What if
or
they
girl
confessed? Is that legit? Like, you mean like say they confessed?
No, because sometimes like
you can
even-
confess to something
yeah,
you
even
do
under
for the love of
under
another person or
interrogation,
for certain reasons.
Really?
Yeah.
People do that?
Oh
Yes.
yeah, all the time.
Yes.
Well, not all the time, but yeah.
Think of a mother's
in
love for a
rare
child.
cases.
Would you rather not have your child sentenced
Yeah.
to death? Would you rather be the one sentenced to death if your child committed the crime?
But the only,
I never thought
the
about
only, I guess how I see putting them in jail for life is that it gives them the option for parole. But
that.
well, yeah, or to appeal
Well, sometimes
to
they-
Yeah, I'm saying
or to appeal the
to
case.
parole. I don't like it.
Yeah, I don't like it either because I mean, if they did the court right the first time, then that shouldn't even be an issue.
Well,
I mean,
That's what.
Well,
that's
yeah,
a perfect
that's what
system.
he
They
argues.
talk about it
And the
here.
risk for wrongful execution of innocent. I don't know who wrote this, so I can't like.
I don't know, but they talk about how so many people get parole and they're letting someone go that ends
That the
up-
abolitionists should focus their attention on fixing that part. Of
Yeah, rather than
justification.
rather than putting them to death. I hate parole.
So are you saying that all felons should not be eligible for parole?
I think it depends
You mean
on the
with
crime.
murder
I
cases?
think it depends
Like-
on the crime.
Okay.
Things like
It really depends on the crime. Someone that robbed a bank or someone that
What
did.
about somebody that's running around with 5 pounds of marijuana in their car?
No, I don't even know if you should even go to jail. That's a waste of your money.
that really is like
So,
okay, but
wait.
besides the point.
But
So basically, my
harming.
point is like, prison reform is what the issue
It's
is.
basically you want the reform of the institution of a prison is like. let's
Yeah,
say
but
the
I still think some people should be put to death.
I just feel
I mean,
Like-
like you said, it depends on the crime.
Yeah,
The
it
evidence
totally
of it.
depends on the crime, and it totally depends on the evidence. And I know y'all are gonna say, well, evidence is subjective, blah blah blah. I don't care. There's some things that you can't get around, like someone's bloody fingerprint being there.
I think my largest issue with the death penalty is that you're putting the power of life and death
into
Into
a
it-
group of people's hands.
into a group of people's hands, into an institution's hands.
Mhm.
I
you
feel
know?
the same way about it. I don't
It's-
think
Yeah,
It shouldn't be up to like a government institution to say who should live and who should die. And I mean, yeah, some people
but
deserve
isn't it okay? Okay, I could be wrong, but isn't it who decides whether the death penalty is it the judge or is it the jury?
the jury decides the guilt, the judge decides
Decides the punishment? Okay, because I was saying if it was the jury, then your argument would be flawed because it'd be people deciding. the
No,
punishment.
it's the judge
It's
who
the
decides
judge.
the penalty.
Okay. Well, then therefore it is an institution.
Yeah, and that's I feel like no one person should determine whether or not you deserve to live. It's like in the hospitals, like you know how people are on life support, and one person has to decide whether or not they should keep going with that.
Well, I say kill. If you're not gonna have a life, you might as well die. And that's kind of how I
Yeah,
feel.
oh my God.
Well, no, if you were gonna live a life, if being miserable, would you rather? I mean, I don't want to live on life support. I'd rather be dead. And that's in a
Well,
way.
that's probably why you
That
say
analogy kind of that analogy kind of files in to the death penalty.
But
If you're gonna sit there and waste your life in jail, take money, not do any good, what's the point in
but
living?
they're not choosing. I mean, I guess maybe in a sense they did choose to be there. But if they were wrongly accused, they weren't choosing to sit there and waste our resources. They were forced into that situation.
Because of evidence.
And then you're talking about like wasting resources. Why are these resources being put to waste? Prisoners don't have to sit there all day. I mean, punishment
They
could
make
be
license plates. I saw that.
Yeah, I mean, more than just license plate. They could do so much more constructive things. So many more constructive
Yeah,
things as
but-
opposed to just sitting around and rotting
But
away.
they don't.
So it's an institutional issue.
Exactly.
Same with the issue of putting life and death into the hands of the institution.
Okay. But I get institutional reform is big, but I still think some people should be put to death.
See, and I think
You-
that's the thing. There's a lot of people in this country who have that perspective of things because they deserved it, you know, but you're not getting the whole picture of this person.
See, yeah, and then on top of that, like, you also have to consider you're emotionally involving yourself in these situations.
There's no way
There
you can be
shouldn't-
not irrational, but like a rational, just
Yeah, it's hard to
one-sided,
get that.
unbiased person.
Right, and I think because emotions are so involved, like, the process shouldn't be an emotional one, it should be completely logical. And if life and death is in the balance of it, and it's not completely logical, like, I don't think it's...
I think
I don't
I
think
think
it's
what
fair.
makes it difficult to actually come to an
Yeah.
agreement with it is that both sides, like those who are for the death penalty and those who are against, think it's like morally superior. Their answer is morally superior, so they just have so much behind it that it's hard to break one free from the other. You can't work together that way if you feel like you're morally superior than you
I
know.
don't know. I just can't get over people being killed and murdered, and I just feel like I don't know why.
Well,
Why you
well,
take
okay.
someone's life? Why do you deserve to live?
But
What
that's
about
not
the
problem.
executioners?
I
Do
mean,
they deserve to live? They're taking people's lives.
There's a part in there where it says it's their job. Like
Okay.
there's no personal tie to it. It's their job. That's what they're told to do.
Okay,
And I'm sure they suffer like mental shit from it. They're probably like, oh my god, I just killed someone. But I mean, it's their job.
Consider this.
Military, it's their job to go kill the enemy. It's their job.
but do you know how emotionally scarred they become from?
No, because I'm not in the military.
So I think you should maybe take a perspective of a person
So do you
who
want
has
me to
to.
go be an executioner?
No, I mean you
You should just consider
you
it.
should consider what they have to deal with, and how it affects them. Okay, to me, is the death penalty really for?
The good of the people?
Is it for the good of the people, or is it for like something else? Like to me, like they
Okay.
say it's cruel. It's not cruel and unusual, right? But is it not cruel and unusual because you don't want to hurt the person, or is it not cruel and unusual because you don't want to reveal the realities of killing another person to the people who are watching this. Do you know what I mean?